All right, then, yeah, let us officially start. We have enough time. I planned for roughly an hour and had an extra buffer for technology issues there of 30 minutes. So but I think so far we don't have an issue. If we go offline, then I just create a new session and send you a quick email through everyone through our Arlo booking system. But I don't think so. So I introduce myself, but maybe some of you know me already. Like, I'm Marcel van Hove from the Visual Friends. I'm one of the co-founders of Visual Friends, and we are known for like teaching drawing, teaching visualization to everyone. We do this with a clear purpose of improving collaboration inside organizations. That's the mission. That's why it's a friends, visual friends. So if you become visual friends inside your organization and we turn a bank into a bunch of friends, mission done. Yeah, that's a big goal, but I think it's actually something I'm striving for. I like we spend so much time at work, and why not in a way that it makes fun. Short question, can you give me a thumbs up if the audio and video quality is okay, that I'm, yeah, cool. I see one person giving a thumbs up. That's very good. Cool. Yeah. So first of all, thank you everyone for joining in and for watching the maybe also the video. If you haven't watched it, it's not the end. Like, I will, until we have like enough questions, I will give a short speech around what I've basically done on YouTube. Here and there, I gave a bit of extra of what I came to my mind as well, and what other insights I have. And because I'm working on this content, and visual collaboration is also an online training that I'm. It's launched now. We have the first videos inside, and visual collaboration remote new world. It's like basically another version of that, where we focus more on the topics we talk in this video about. Yeah, so both is online in an online training. Important, I think, to start with is what we're already doing right now here, and this is that everyone is remote. And this means it's very even. So right now, yes, I have 2 cameras in this room, and I have the right as an admin to facilitate this. But everyone is remote means we are all somewhere, and we have our headsets. And yeah, so if you have what I mean is, like, if you are in a small room and another person is dialed in via phone, that's not the same thing. Like, those people who have dialed via telephone and can't see the stream, you will see that's not the same. So set yourself up in this way that you have a great working environment. About the working environment, yesterday I recorded a session on how you set up your perfect home office, and perfect, like a better one, right? So some things in those situation where we live right now in, we need a lot of bandwidth. Yesterday we had a broadcasting station, a radio station, who said sorry to the listeners on the radio in the cars that the quality was bad because of the usage of the bandwidth inside their this agency, this radio station, right? So if you're at home now, and I say a couple of words about home office in general, like check your bandwidth, and if you have an issue, maybe stop YouTube. But the question is it really a problem? Is Netflix the reason why you can't do your workshop or your meeting? That's another question. And then I already said it in the video, but I want to test this, and this hit me in real life. Do you have access to the company VPN? I'm currently consulting in Germany here to a big organization, and I went back after a short holiday, not to Italy, but to somewhere in Switzerland. And then I came back to the client and they basically said, oh, I can't give you VPN. Everyone is asking for it. You are an external consultant, so I can't get into that company right now. So if you have the chance right now, and please test that you can work remote and access all the data. Now it's the time. After hanging up here, test that you can dial in if you haven't done it. Another thing that I find very interesting is the psychology effect around home office. What it means is, like, for me, I live in Germany and run the Visual Friends in Germany and with the team over there in Australia. So I basically literally work remote all the time, but I have spaces where I can retreat and I can work and I'm not disturbed. So if you have not the situation that you can have an own room, maybe maybe rent a room, or if you're not, if that's not possible even, then create a bit of space where maybe put the expedite a bit across to the side so that you have a little corner where you can hide from everyone and put some tape around and say, this is the business, this is where I live, and this is where I work, right? So that's something I wanna say. And something I thought it would be nice to do as well at the beginning. It's like one poster I said was, have you cleaned up? So what I mean by that is when you work remote, it's a high chance you want to share your desktop, or maybe share your screen so that people see your desktop, or you switch on your camera and then the people can see what's behind. Of course, in Teams and in other channel softwares, you can blur the background. But actually, I find it quite interesting to unblur the background, or to not say, well, I'm at the beach, like put some funny pictures behind you. I think it's really nice to switch on the camera and look behind. I had a meeting with someone who basically, you saw a whole shelf with board games, just with playing games like all sides, Settlers of Case and so on, like 5 meters, 4 meters high. It's like, whoa, man, we have a new topic to talk about when we see us again. So one thing that I want to say as well. Why I say that is it so important? Can you hear me well? Okay. Why I say it's so important is that it's a chance that you can connect with the people. Like, it means that you have the chance to see what's behind them, what they do in their normal life when they're not at work, when they're not having the tie around or the nice dress, when you see now where they live. So that's basically what I had in mind. And maybe we do this when we're here as well. So to give you now, this is the backstage story of how I work, to tell you this is what I'm doing, right? This is what we do to bring this to you, and I show you now the studio from the other side. So when you're remote, you probably have one side that looks really tidy, like my board. But when you look around, it's actually the opposite, right? Like I have the honor to be here with my daughter. She helps me if something goes wrong. And this is like an office that I use on one side to produce content for you. Yeah? So I can't show you my home because I have an office. But it is basically like a short look behind the scene, behind this one person who has maybe this project manager view, but now you see the personal side. Maybe you see the kids. That's a big opportunity to lower the water level and to connect with the people, show more about yourself, who you are. You maybe see art in the background. You maybe see Lego in the background, like whatever is is there. I think it would be great if we can connect on this level more. This is what Visual Friends is about, like creating friendships. And then you have a new topic when you see you back at work in the office in a couple of months, then we see us and say, hey, you have the same Lego rocket than I have. Let's talk about it, right? All right, let me go back on the other side and talk a bit about the content we have already. Okay, so far, have a short look at the questions. Questions start here. So which bandwidth would be sufficient? That's a great question to the question there. I think you need to test this, right? And you need to test this what you can do with the bandwidth you have. So do a test call on Zoom. In terms of tooling for things that work well is what we use right now. Like Zoom is quite stable when you have not big bandwidth. But also Teams from Microsoft, I'm very impressed with that. And so the answer is, I don't know what is sufficient, but the good point is, yeah, just test it, do a test call. And if you know, okay, when this happens, I need to switch off my camera, then do this for the time, but do something about your bandwidth that you can have an answer. Yeah, so that's one thing. Out of the team, there comes an answer. For Zoom, minimum bandwidth is 600 kilobits per second, upstream, downstream, and recommended is 1.5 Mbits. So that's an answer from Mark here. And yeah, using the Wi-Fi wisely when you have several users. Okay, so I go through the content here for now and have a look. First, I started with before the meeting. Yeah. So if you prepare for a remote workshop or meeting, what you need to prepare here is a couple of things. So we talked about it already. Do you have remote access? Give that a tick. VPN is working. Bandwidth is sufficient. All right. But then I think the best meetings are actually those who don't happen at all. Yeah, ask the reason for why do we have this meeting. And we have new reasons, by the way, since Corona, why we have meetings. One good thing is at the Visual Friends, we have on Wednesday a chit chat that has no agenda. It's just a hangout to spend time together and to talk and to mingle a bit. So the why here for a meeting might change, right? So I would separate those meetings. For some people, some meetings are very effective and have a clear intention, a clear why. And other meetings you just do, maybe leave a channel open where everyone is in the same Zoom room, same chat room, and you see each other and see, he's at his desk, home office desk, and you can connect when you want. But those meetings who have an outcome, who have a reason why you have them, make this clear that you have a good why. And a good question to ask here is to check whether it has a reason is what would happen if we don't do it? Like ask that in the way that people can check, and the sponsor of this meeting can say, well, if we don't do this, X, Y, Z will happen. It's like, okay, we can articulate this back to the group when we run the meeting. I'm just coming back to my mind. We have, for the attendees of the 60-day program, a video around meeting agenda and how to prepare for a meeting. It's exclusive for the 60-day program, but I think we will open it up, and I share this in the corner here in a second when on YouTube, that you can access this video because of the current situation. So this 60-day program video is like a series we do when people have questions, we produce content for that. So I published that a bit more here. Yeah, have your agenda. So agendas in questions, like I said, like please write and prepare your agenda using question writing. Sorry guys. And this helps me to that I can just read out what I have prepared before. So I don't have to listen, to look at the screen, and then at the same time find a very nice way to ask a leading question. If you have them prepared beforehand, you can just read them out. And as questions are very precise, they are a good way you can structure your agenda. So the people know exactly what questions we go through. Yeah, might change, of course. And this is the way I like to basically go around the subject until I come to the outcome, right? And now something that I find very effective, very important, and I take those two together, is having a visual and a facilitator. Yeah, visual facilitation, and this means here I have prepared visual notes for you, but you can also use a top-down camera like this one here. That's my favorite tool. It's an here. IPEVO is the spelling. VZ-R HDMI document camera. So those document cameras, you can just have notes and record them top down. Awesome tool, recommended to me by Heather Martinez, and I love it. So have a visual note taker and share the screen of your, this is in this case a camera. Share the camera of the top-down camera of recording notes. We do this in our coachings, and have a visual note taker in your group. And then what I do right now, I facilitate this webinar, I facilitate this meeting. I have a step-by-step what I want to achieve in this time, but have someone who basically gives everyone the right to speak. So it's important that when you have a meeting that everyone is equal and everyone is remote, but also everyone can speak and participate and is joining in here. Then one tip on preparing the meeting was bring half done presentations along. And what I mean by that is when you go into a workshop, and I think I will share an example of that under the video, is I have prepared a slide deck often in Google, or you can do this in other platforms like MindMeister or Office 365, but it needs to be a remote document, remote artifact that everyone can access with a link, best without a login. And then you have this, everyone can see the same and can write notes in it. In this way, if someone has the capacity to write new ideas in or starts a list in there, yes, this is what you want, right? So give edit rights to everyone in this document. And you only do this if it's not a polished presentation. So I have maybe welcome, like I have here in the webinar, a welcome page, but then I have another slide maybe, which is like current situation, and we just have two boxes, and then we just write all speech bubbles, what the situation from our view is about. So that you can co-create something and don't have a ready, just do this presentation. Because often when I was in management meetings, the people just assume the manager wants to have this, yes sir, yes sir. But in reality, he really wanted to have this, feedback, yeah? And you're more likely to get this if you're not super polished, if you don't polish your slide deck. So have gaps there and fill the gaps like those we had in school where you need to fill the gaps in, right? All right. So do we have questions for preparation so far? Let me have a look. I don't see questions so far. I will go over the next part, and then if you're in any time, if you have questions, write them in the chat, and the team will, Elena also will copy paste. She just did this, copy paste the question in my channel. So here, so when we have prepared for a workshop, when we have prepared for a meeting, it's also an important point that we check in with everyone and ask for the weather. It's like, ask for weather is of course an example, but if we have our weekly stand-up, so at Visual Friends we have on Sunday a weekly stand-up. I really like that. Right now we don't do that, so we should redo it. But it's like we had like a starting question, and then was like, how's the weather in Brisbane? And then you would say, well, 32 degrees and sunny. And I would say in Hamburg, 5 degrees, rainy as usual. And Mark and Sydney would say 20 degrees, also sunny. Sydney is always sunny. And Melbourne, as my favorite city, I would just say 25 degrees, perfect. And yeah, so what I mean is, you go from city to city. Oh, Auckland and Wellington, of course, we have as well. And just do this as a check-in question so that everyone spoke at the beginning, right? It can also be, maybe you all switch on your camera once a room and just say one sentence about what's behind you. Yeah, another check-in question that we can think of, where you can basically show a bit about yourself and said something. You know those questions where it's like, how do you feel today? That's a check-in question, but I find it's not a creative one. So if you switch on the camera and do a 360, what's around you, and people can ask one question or so. Another one, we have a couple of those in the online training. But another one could be 2 truths, 1 lie, right? So you basically, one person prepares, so everyone prepares 2 truths, 1 lie, and you have to guess what it was. It takes a bit of time, but it could be a check-in question as well. Yes, you have some questions? Right. Okay, so I put that back. Have a first look at questions. Okay, what type of camera are we using now? So you seeing me right now through my iPhone X. That's, I had an SLR camera with a nice lens, and I just learned the time is over. And the good thing is it's remotely connected through Wi-Fi. The app is called Epoch. Epoch, it's an HD. Epoch HD costs like 10 bucks or so, and it goes directly into my computer. On my laptop, I have a MacBook where I have my camera. And what type of question? Private chat. Sarah, to everyone, how do you best bring people into the discussion and manage participation, e.g. two-way narrative? So for me, working together, creating, so first of all, the check-in question that everyone is part of it. It's like an important part, but then also, yeah, like creating something together is an important point. And let me answer this in this way. And I hope, Sarah, that I answered what you have. Otherwise, reframe your question again, and then I have a look again. So when you have checked in, you shared your screen with, and you are there, then where do I have this with breaks? Here. I would start with a leading question that puts everyone into thinking and creative mode, and give everyone the right to access the document, and then give out a time period where the people work in silent and don't say a word. They think and write notes for themselves. So participation without insights, it's just talking, from my view. It's a bit hard, but I think it's, if you give out a brainstorming session time box where you say, first, now we start, the leading question is that, please write for yourself your 3 insights around this question you had in the last week. And then we go around the room again. So when you call out basically a thinking break in this way, where you put everyone on mute and then play music or something where the people think for a minute and write the insights on a piece of paper or directly in the document. Downside on this side, when you write directly in the document, the people didn't get distracted because they read the document. So better write it on Post-its or something, or on a notepad then they can copy paste it directly in the chat room after that, or in the document, but not directly live. Otherwise you're talking again, right? Like I always say the person with the pen is the loudest in the room. And if that also means if you start chatting or you have a visualization again, and even if everyone is on mute, you talk again. So give everyone a chance to think for a moment and then brief back. And then the role of the facilitator is to brief back, to ask the guys, hey, what are your insights in the last 3 minutes? And this will create participation, but now with insights. Sarah, have I answered your question? I have a look. Anki is asking, ideally, how many participants work well together? Like, how big should be the group? I think this is depends very much on the workshop type. So it doesn't matter whether I have now 50 people or if we have 100 people online with this setup. But I'm not co-creating a document, right? We have insights maybe together, and I hope that we have in the chat room here also answers, and then we can summarize this in a document and send it back to you after the webinar of our co-created insights, right? And I'm basically just the spark who gives you ideas, and you say your answers, and so we create. But that's co-created as well, but it's not where we have conversations. From my view, it's good, like similar to a table, and in a pub you have the tables have a size where roughly 6 people fit on. And for me, 6 people is a magic number in this way, because if you have one question, you can go around the room in reasonable time to get an answer, but more than 6 becomes a very big situation. I would suggest remote meetings, keep them as small as possible. And for us, for example, in the 60-day program, where we, after the, now, by the way, online Picablo, 2 days fundamentals, we go into a group coaching mode for a period of weeks, and formerly known as the 60-day program. And so in this period, we have 6 people max, because it just makes more fun if everyone has enough air time to speak. So that's my view on that. Would you use virtual tools like Mural, or use papers like we are doing now? Yes, okay. So I just came across Mural last week. I definitely want to give it a go. Danny want to give it a go, and I haven't used it. So I'm super excited, and I look forward to your insights if you have used it already. In terms of paper, as I already said, I like to use the top-down camera and then be the visualizer for everyone and do some sketches. But the problem is not everyone can draw with me, right? So it is nicer if you use a Google slide where you then visualize idea, or but like co-created drawing, I haven't done this. It might be enough something. If you have tools, we should point out here, please paste the tools you like to use for co-drawing, like if you draw together, for example. I find it easier when one person is capturing it and everyone can see it, as you have in a graphic facilitator or visual facilitator mode. Lucia is asking, do you have suggestions about visual virtual whiteboards to help people to draw or write? I go with the simplest tools. Like, I'm not a big fan of tools that people have to learn and practice. So for me, it's the Google Suite, and but I think also with the time, I will have a look at those and have to answer the question later. And if you have suggestions, please suggest them in the channel. And for the team behind here, if I should read out some tools that people said, we can give it a go as well. If the video is not available, how you manage people talking over each other? Yes. I think it's very good if one person can facilitate the audio channels and can mute the people and unmute the people. And in small groups, it's not needed. It's like you can just go with an etiquette. Everyone asks like to everyone, please mute yourself if you not have something to say. And then I would just go around the room. One idea is someone volunteers to answer or give his insight, and this person who gives the insight, let's say Stephen gives the insights. I would do it like this, and that's just my view, and I hope it's insightful for you. And then Stefan or Stephen decides who goes next, and then say, Mareike, please go next. And then, okay, my view, and that, so you have like a jumping token stick, and the person who speaks basically literally throws the token stick to the person who should answer next. And then you are over everyone because everyone has spoken, and then you have everyone in the heard. Yeah, so that's the question I have at the moment so far. Let me go through in the meeting a bit. Ask everyone about the weather. I said it, check in. Be 100% present. I was thinking, do I put this up? This is like the one-on-one of facilitation, of meeting culture. Be there or not there, but don't be half there. But today with childcare is closing down, schools are closed. And so like we might have kids around, and this might not be possible, but it's at least the good way how you should try to do it. That comes back to the idea, do you have an own room where you can be then when you have meetings? Or like, can you have headphones on and make up rules with the kids that you say, if mommy or daddy is behind this here, I'm working, and please, I come back to you. Not sure whether kids will just actually accept, but it's then even more important that you mute yourself, or when you have a break, that you involve the kids then as well. Yeah, I think that's a very nice way to have breaks. If you just go and say, okay, do you want to be in this stream? Then say hello, and the kids will like it, and then also be okay because they got the attention that they may be okay to let you work further. Right. I already said it, but it's Zoom is my favorite tool. I'm a bit of a low-tech person, and I like my tools when they are stable, and don't like to test new tools so much. And I share the screen. This is like like have a visualization and share your screen means that, and so that you have a visualization of what you talk about. That's for me an important one. And then what I have here in the room is a chat open, right? So and it also gives the chance that behind this video layer, there's also a context layer where people can ask questions in the chat. So set up a chat room where then the people can exchange ideas like you do here on the Slack channel. Everyone is in there, apart from me. Yeah, but like the people can ask questions, people can make recommendations, and so on. So this helps us to not stop all the time and ask and go audio. So then everyone has to stop thinking. If you have a second text layer that floats back and forth to the video conference, it's less stressful because you don't have to remember all those questions, and also have a paper and pen ready that you can write questions and then ask them later, right? So that's an important thing. I really like the hand gestures. If we agree as visual friends to ideas, so we just do this, yeah, and we can test this again. So far, are you okay with what I'm doing here? Is the audio okay? Give us a thumbs up. I learned today there's a feature, and then I give the thumbs up. But is there a feature? There is a feature where you can press thumbs up, and I can see them over there. So that is also like if you have emojis or other ways you can show without disturbing everyone, right? Without speaking and videoing, you can see. Yeah, I see. That's cool. That's I think is a nice layer. So, for example, you suggest a solution, and you ask the people, are you on board? And then you just say, yes, that's my favorite choice, right? And then, are you on board? And you can also say, yeah, I come along, or no way. So those and those you want to hear, particularly those, right, who say, I'm not okay with that. Just the positives, yeah, it's good for motivation, but you need to hear why the people are not on board. So make those ones speak as well, and that gives then the co-created solution more drive. So use hand gestures. Another one would be how much do you like the idea? 5 stars is good, but it's 1 star, 2 stars, 3 stars, 5 stars, yeah. So, and maybe you come up with crazy ideas. Like you can also use theater play. It's like, what do you think about this idea? And you just, yeah, okay. We have an emoji for that just by Marcel. Marcel, which emoji would you like? Yeah, could you? So you make some fun, guys. It's not the end. Call out deep work time. I already said that for participation. Yeah, you give time, everyone. I was looking for that card actually a minute ago. Mute yourself and call out breaks. Mute yourself, we already talked about. Call out breaks, we talked about it as well. Let me have a look for whether we have some questions again. Yeah, no, there's not a new question. How do you manage people talking about each other? So yeah, you basically mute everyone and give everyone then around the robin, around the room, the speaking rights. And it's good to point away from yourself. When you do this, empower the others by saying, like, passing on your facilitators job and saying, yeah, you can do something. Please decide who should speak next. All right. Feel free to ask more questions. Like we go through this, but we might have other questions. So then the meeting comes to an end, right? Like the meeting comes to an end, and the important thing is that you have an outcome where everyone is happy with, and you should not start at the end with that idea. You should, I think, during the meeting already collect and highlight agreements, like insights you have, and you can create maybe an own area of your visualization where you say our agreements, or highlight them in the discussion where change the text color to green, and voila, you highlight in the meeting notes, or use a pen when you use a top-down camera, what agreements you already have, and look at this. Right, and then I do this one, and then I have a look again at the questions. So another thing is that when it comes to an end, we need to, it's good if we have an action, right? Like if it's a chit chat where we just hang out and just do fun stuff, of course not. But if it's an action and we plan something and someone commits to, I do that, then it's I try to ask the person, so what do you do now? And the people say, I'm doing X, Y, Z. So SMART, you probably know from measurable, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-based actions. And so maybe Stefan wants to finish a document. Can we measure that? Yes, it's done or not done. Achievable, if Stefan says I can update the document, yes, it's relevant because that's what we need to send out to the client tomorrow. And until tonight, end of day or something, then it's time-based. And we have a goal, and maybe everyone has like those goals. It's similar to a stand-up, right? The stand-up has the idea that we have transparency, and then we also create accountability or responsibility of the task at hand for the day. That's a bit the idea here as well. If we work remote, we need to do this as well. And like a stand-up, when you have a stand-up meeting, it doesn't matter that you say what the people have to say. The people need to brief back and say what they think they should do until tomorrow. That's a big difference to you recapping the agreement, right? So I think here, again, around the room, what are you, Stefan, what's your task? And please point to the next one who would recap what the goal is. Then we have a 360 view and everyone knows what actions they would like to take. And it's not the facilitator, otherwise the facilitator turns into a manager quickly. So direct the power away from you as a facilitator and let the people decide for themselves what they want to do. Before we move on, let me have a look. So, from Sarah again, how do you manage multiple facilitators in multiple locations? Wow, this is a good one. How do you manage multiple facilitators in multiple locations? So we just had a global icon jam where we had an event that was in Australia, in Hunter Valley near Sydney, and one in South Africa. And we both were basically working behind each other. And what we had was a lot of preparation before those workshops, but they were not live. They were basically doing something there and then doing something there. If you have this live in a room, I think you have to have a team in the background who is coordinating the two facilitators and hands them insight from the different locations. And if it's all remote, and yeah, I would suggest you have someone handing insights. Pretty much what I do right now here. I would say if you have a proxy facilitator who can capture insights on this one from this one person and then passes on in a very short way to the other facilitator, that's one way I could do it. I could think of if you have multiple locations, like one a group of people in this chat room and you have a proxy and then it goes into the other chat room. If there are two rooms, then I would do this. What else? And otherwise, you need another layer. If you have two facilitators in the same room, different locations, all remote, then I would say they need to know each other well and define before the meeting what their responsibilities are. So for example, if one person is taking visual notes and facilitates and brief backs his visual notes, then this is a clear responsibility. The other one is there in terms of the session design of the next questions around what the general timeline is. So be clear with the several facilitators that they have clear roles. That's, I think, my suggestion here. NKIT to everyone. Sorry. How do you encourage people, Gisela? How do you encourage people to use video? My team does not feel comfortable sharing their video. I had the same situation last week, and yeah, I might be a bit rude, or I might be a bit too. I first say that they, of course, can choose what they like, but I just say I switch on my video and give them a short tour, and in this way invite them to do the same. If they don't want to do it, that's their right. Like, that's their base law. Everyone is owns his own picture, and if they don't want to do it, I would not push for it. But they might see the insights. They might. It comes back to my UNITO point of you can't change people, you can inspire people. If you haven't watched that video, the story of UNITO, I think we need to inspire people to do things, and you can't tell them to share the video if they don't want to do it. And if that's not the work culture, that they see each other, maybe we as a facilitator should not push for that and just make people do something. That's, I think, is wrong. Yeah. Other ideas? Yeah, show them how funny it could be. Like, give them a tour, show, and in this way, you invite them. Would someone like to share, or maybe next time give us a tour so you can prepare this and speak to this one person. So you have the idea of around the room, every beginning of every meeting, we see something he wants to share. Like, could be not the house inside because that's private or something, could be the garden, right? Like, give us a tour about your flowers and before the meeting starts, and then we go back inside. Something like this. But if they don't want to switch on the video in general, don't push. NKIT, to everyone, how do you organize big workshops with multiple small groups? How do you organize big workshops with multiple small groups? That is a really good question. And it comes to this several Zoom rooms parallel running, and you have someone who is basically a proxy who is mapping out the insights, and then you have a brief back. So I think what you could do is you have, each room has one facilitator, and then the people basically have a way to articulate in the chat room insights. You maybe have insights, double column, and then an insight, and those proxy only looks for the insights and captures those insights in maybe a visualization like this. Yeah, he just prepares that, and then you close, like after half an hour or after an hour, those small groups, and they switch over into the main room, a different Zoom URL where they see, and then you get the presentation of the insights different groups had so far. So in this way, you have a quick brief back. So it's like, you know, from diversive thinking, where you have like you kickstart and you split up the group in 5 groups, and the 5 groups work in parallel with the same question, and then you need to brief back and condense it down to an outcome. I think here it's important that you have almost like a studio who is capturing that and brings it back to the point of a small group. And so you brief back, and then maybe you can open again. Like the next question will be 2 groups. So, but you definitely have prepared those links, and the people know where they need to go. Yeah, that's a lot of preparation in there, but very exciting and definitely possible. How do you organize big workshops with multiple small groups? I've answered that. Ankit, if I not have answered that, please rephrase your question. Marcus is asking, what is your what about using classical face-to-face formats like fishbowl discussions also remotely? So for those who are not familiar with fishbowl, let me give you a bit short fishbowl. Fishbowl has the idea that you have a circle of people, of a small circle of chairs, for 5 chairs, something where the people can really be close, like, and listen to each other. So 4 chairs maybe with a spare one that is free. And then you have an outer circle of up to 100 chairs where the people sit and listen. And whenever they want to say something, they stand up because they sit there, listen, and think, right? They have the power to think and have an insight. They come to the inner circle, and the inner circle can then speak. And when they think they have made their point, the people can leave again. So they make space for the next insight. So it's like a rotation principle where people come and give an insight and then leave again. I think there could be something we could definitely do also remote. And it's I think a great idea we could do next time. For example, if we have a shared document where we visualize this drawing of a fishbowl. Let's say we have an inner circle and the outer circle, and someone has a question to line up. Here we can just go through all the questions right now. But if I have a visualization and you can put yourself walking towards the inner circle on a speech bubble, right? On a little drawing, and say, I'm coming to the inner circle with that question, you can actually visualize the lineup of questions. And then the people see, okay, I can't speak and I need to leave. And what you could do then is always one facilitator in the Zoom room who is in the circle here. Everyone in the circle is unmuted. So you have one person who needs to be an admin, who is then unmuted and will have the power to be like in a small meeting, speak all the time. I think that's something that maybe we do for the next meetup, do a remote meetup. As Canberra, we had to close the Canberra meetup. I'm absolutely in for giving that an idea, a chance. Maybe write us what you think about a remote meetup using Visual Fishbowl, where you can line up and then be on air as well, and then go back. So as an idea. A great question. How do you, my own question is now, how do I bring on a world cafe, right? Like how do you do open space remote? I think that's good. There are good questions and I have no answer right now, but I think we could talk about that too. Yeah, so that was the last question so far. Let me finish then the content for now. And please write my questions. I'm absolutely in for it. I'm not sure how we go time wisely, but I'm talking for the whole day, right? So the end of a workshop is also a way of reflecting of how you go, how it was, how useful it was. And again, use hand gestures and do like a short finger retro where it's like, give us 5 stars, give us 2 stars, no stars at all, 3 stars, 1 star. And you just do this in the stone, paper, scissor mode. Like at the end, you all have the camera on, if you have camera on. Otherwise, you do it in the text in the chat room and just give us 3, 2, 1, write your number, press enter now. And then you all have a rating of how useful it was. Maybe we can do this as a test here. So far, in a second, yeah? So prepare yourself mentally for the idea that I will ask you in a second how the live streaming, how useful it is so far. 5 stars to 1 star is brr. 5 stars is yay. 1 star is brr. Make up a number where you think, okay, and be prepared to answer what you need for a higher number, right? Next time. Okay, pre-prepared and come back to that in a second. And I will do this here in the chat room. Okay. Something I wrote down is the post-workshop email where you basically put every artifact in and every insight you have after the workshop. But I wrote screenshots where you have like who was there. I hope we can do one of those in a second at the end. And then agreements you had already captured, visual notes, and the actions. And I wrote post email, but it can be wherever you have your place of communication. It can be a printout and you share it in your Slack channel. It could be on WhatsApp, could be in Confluence where you capture the meeting minutes, or you have a management tool for projects. The email is like the way of wrapping it up and sending everyone the insights. And yeah, so that was my content so far. Do we have questions so far? Gisela, is retro useful in all meetings? I decide this ad hoc, and the answer because of that is no. So I would not do a retro if it feels like the people are not don't want to do it. Like I don't like to push for that, but of course the retrospective is a chance to reflect and to improve. So that's basically the currency, the fuel for a facilitator to do a better job. And the facilitator has a high power by taking away lifetime from a group of people. So for me, I'm in responsibility of taking the lifetime of about how many people we have live, I don't know. Those number of people we have, and this multiply an hour, it's like 40 hours or 20 hours. This is a lot of lifetime. So by giving us not the chance, or by giving the group not the chance to make this the next time better, we take away the chance of improvement. And so I try to push for at least a finger retro, and if I can do a longer retrospective where I just say, what do you find very good? What should we do more next time? What do we do should less next time? What we should do? That's an absolute important thing. And with this workshop here, you will get this after the workshop. So we do like a short feedback survey where we send you a SurveyMonkey form with exactly those questions. And this is, I think, useful so that we can improve. So, but it doesn't need to be directly in the meeting. It's also like to clean the air and to close the meeting. It's like, is there anything we need to say before we close the room? If is there anything we need to talk about before we close? So it's an around the room in one word, to wrap up and to close the room. I don't like it when it turns to, I've seen retrospectives who turn like a religion, where it's like, tell us everything about you, what you like, not. I'm not a big fan of that. Like I like a quick retro, and then if I get a 1, I ask the person, how can I be better, right? So let's do this now. I hope you have a keyboard in front of you. Go to the chat room and give us a rating. So 1 would be whoa, 5 would be yay, and that would be very nice. So let's do this, and I will do this with you, and you just it's a 3, 2, 1, and then you press space, return, enter, then the number is in the chat, right? You have the number in the input field? Okay, you as well? Good, okay. Then 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, then let's have a look at the chat room. Good. Let me have a look. I close here. Oh, okay. Good. Okay. Richard Schei gave us an 8. Thank you, Richard. I hope you're well. Anki give us a 10. Good. The rating goes from 1 to 5, but thanks for this. I know what you mean, guys. You're great. Okay. Thanks for that. Yeah, then come back and maybe we can, if someone would like to be on air for a second, we can have 1 or 2 questions before we wrap up, and bring you on air if that's if you would like to do that. And I switch over the camera now and have a look. So I'm back here, and I need then my headphones. If we have someone who would like to be on air, and I think I will do 3 questions and then we close the room. Anyone would like to be? Yeah, you unmute yourself and go on air. And it would be great if you can switch on the camera, but okay, you don't have to.
Awesome, my camera should be on. I hope you see me. Yes, okay, awesome. So I appreciate being able to participate in this with you guys. I would like to know, how can I learn more about other meetups similar to this? Is it on the website or?
So you mean meetups like from Visual Friends, or in general other meetups? What's the question?
Visual Friends, and you may have been just using it as an example in what you were sharing with us, but you had mentioned meetups a couple times. So I was just interested if you offered anything else similar to this.
Yeah. So our meetup that we have in Australia is on meetup.com. It's called Visual Facilitators Australasia. But we will put but it's now worldwide, right? So it's just a bit of time problem. I can host another one then from Europe, where I am, and we could even think about someone in the States. So I can first of all can share the meetup link that everyone can subscribe there at the end of the video in there. If Danny is in the chat room, you could. Then maybe you can paste the link to the meetup in the chat as well. That would be fantastic. And we will put it later in there as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, so other meetups is a good question. Like, do we have meetup.com is my favorite place, but I think if you guys know a platform where we have like Corona, because of Corona, like gatherings, that would be really nice, right? Like we had piano players, like professional, who normally are in the concert hall here in Hamburg. They can't go there. There's no one in there, so they do it remote via YouTube. And those things, it would be great if we have a list of like a list of channels that we recommend. In this case, for the subject of facilitation, visual facilitation, and how we improve visual collaboration. Yes, very nice. Thanks for the question. Do we have someone else who would like to unmute? Why we wait? Don't be afraid of silence.
Hey, Marcel, this is Ankita again.
Hi, Ankita.
Unfortunately, there's not enough battery, so I can't be on video. Otherwise, it would just go up. I'm left with one person. So my question is there an opportunity, I mean, or how can I be part of Visual Friends? Because this is like one of my passions. I would love to be part of it. So.
Yeah. So we see Visual Friends as a group, like a concentric group of people. And we have an inner core of a team. And all people who came to us are often through the meetup, where they then host the meetup. Not possible right now, but for example, remote meetups. And then because they hold this meetups, we often then work with the people as graphic recorders or visual facilitators together as co-facilitators. And those, like over time, it's a natural thing when you work more together. You get together more, you learn more about each other, then you can basically become part of that team. That's how the Visual Friends came together. It's like when I look back, I was basically looking for, because I wanted to move back to Europe, I was looking for the students who already did the meetups and say, hey guys, would you like to become trainers? So that is like how we work. I see this as concentric circles. So there's an inner circle of our core team, but then the outside, you just take over responsibilities, things you like the meetup. Then we have more time together, and then we learn more about each other's values and beliefs, and then it naturally comes to that people work together. That's the way I believe is the future of
Thank you.
And that's the right thing for Visual Friends so far.
Thank you.
One last question. Oh, yep. Thanks, Enki. I read out Alalia. Sorry for that, Alalia. We are now holding our Agile Coaching Exchange meetup as virtual. It is giving people from all over a chance to participate. It's great. Allah, I would love to be able to meet up with other Visual Friend community more. Okay, that's a very good one. What we have for all the graduates of the Visual Friends, we have a Slack channel, and it might be also an idea we could open up a channel for people who are interested in Visual Friends in general. And so Slack is a platform where you can, it's like a text chat, but it has evolved into similar things like Teams. Teams is, I think, from Microsoft, is started because of Slack, right? Like the Slack has a great uptake. It's very useful for teams that can chat. You can integrate different things. We have a visual bot there that I'm just about to bring up to a new release. We have new that helps to translate icons. And yeah, like the platform is normally, it's only open, but I need to come back to you guys what we can do there. But normally open after joining in a training. When you were in one of our paid trainings, then you are in this community of Slack members. And there I read those through there and answer questions there. So it's a bit of a filtering time, right? Yeah, Danny.
Marcel, we've got a question from Indri in the chat. Indri saying, unfortunately, Indri is asking, can I ask whether you are going to provide a link to your other webinar, such as setting up agenda, and why? Leading question.
Yes, so I will, so what I have prepared, and so I'll try to put as much content for free out as possible. And what I also have prepared is then the possibility to come to our online trainings that we are now shifting more towards out of logical reasons, right? Like, and so you can watch us the online trainings there, where you it's pre-recorded, and then in the end, you're between those modules, you have meetings with me or with another trainer, depends on the content. And then the other thing is we also offer remote coaching, so you can book us as a coach, and that's based on Calendly. You can put your details in and can book this with us. Is this answering the question? Sorry, can you rephrase the question again, Danny?
So he's saying, can I ask whether you're going to provide a link to another webinar? So yes. I think
yeah. So I definitely Sorry for speaking over you. Yes, so we will definitely do another webinar. I think if you what I say from the star rating, it was not wrong. So then I would put time aside again in a couple of weeks when I'm finished with the recording of those online modules, and we host another webinar. And we will have more capacity in the future to do online stuff and have webinars also in each time zone. That's the right thing. Yeah, we could have a meetup and maybe do even a global hack where we just go around Visual Friends and hosting meetups and try to do this like the global icon jam we had with one client. Do it globally and pass on the things we had like on each location. Yeah, like a hackathon. Yeah, definitely doing another webinar. Thanks for the feedback, for the star rating, and please in the survey write down what like points you have we should change, so you get a little survey link, what you liked, what we can do better. And I'm totally pumped with the idea. I have to say this, thank you for the fishbowl idea, to give this a test. Maybe a total failure, but it's time for exploring and time for finding new ways of collaboration. So why not having a virtual coffee table where you have an outer circle of everyone, and then whoever is in there is unmuted and we speak, and then you leave, mute yourself and go online. So that's nice idea for the next webinar. So I think we are a bit more over an hour, and I would like to thank you for this webinar, and I hope it was useful. And please write us the questions. We will write you an email with some details around how you can reach to us, what our online offerings are, and I look forward to see you at the next webinar. And I hope you have an awesome day wherever you are. Have a great night in New Zealand and Australia soon. At 10 p.m. in New Zealand, if I'm right, 8 o'clock in Melbourne, if I'm right, at 10, by the way, 10:15 in Hamburg. Now it's the other way around the globe. It's more difficult for me. New York must be 4 a.m. That's very early. Okay. Talk to you soon, guys, and have an awesome time. And I look forward to speak to you soon.